The whistle pierced through the autumn air as Natalie Nelson blew it fiercely, signaling the end of practice for her under-12 football team. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the cool October breeze, and she pushed a stray lock of auburn hair from her face as the kids began gathering equipment. "Good hustle today, team. Remember, we're focusing on our defensive line next practice. Tyler, great job on those passes. Jamie, work on your follow-through, you're getting there." Natalie's voice carried across the field with the perfect blend of authority and encouragement that had earned her the respect of both her players and their parents over the past 3 seasons coaching the Westlake Panthers. As the children dispersed to waiting parents, Natalie noticed an unfamiliar face among them. A tall man in a tailored charcoal suit stood slightly apart from the other parents, looking somewhat out of place among the casual attire of sweatpants and windbreakers. He was checking his watch with a slight frown while scanning the field. Natalie watched as one of her newer players, 11-year-old Ben, jogged over to him. The boy's face lit up with excitement as he approached the man, who immediately pocketed his phone and crouched down to listen intently to whatever Ben was enthusiastically explaining. She hadn't met Ben's father, yet his mother had been the one to register him for the team 3 weeks ago, explaining that they had recently moved to town. "This had to be him, Coach Natalie," Ben called out, waving her over. "This is my dad. He finally got to come to practice." Natalie grabbed her clipboard and made her way across the field. As she approached, the man straightened to his full height, at least 6 feet tall, and offered a smile that transformed his previously serious expression. "You must be the famous Coach Nelson," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Adam Keller, Ben's dad. He talks about you constantly." His handshake was firm, his blue eyes direct. Natalie noticed the subtle details that screamed success: the perfectly tailored suit, the expensive watch, the confident posture of someone used to commanding attention. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Keller, and yes, I'm Natalie Nelson. Ben's been a great addition to our team. He's picked up our plays remarkably fast." "Dad missed my interception," Ben said with dramatic disappointment. "It was epic." "Conference call ran late," Adam explained with an apologetic glance at his son. "But I promised I'd make the next game. When is it again?" "Saturday at 10, Natalie replied. "Riverview Park, Field 3. "I'll be there," Adam said with conviction, ruffling Ben's hair. "No conference calls on weekends. That's our new rule, right, buddy?" Ben nodded enthusiastically. "And Coach Natalie says I might get to start. We're still figuring out positions," Natalie clarified, not wanting to overpromise. "But Ben's definitely showing potential as a cornerback." Adam's phone buzzed in his pocket. He checked it quickly and sighed. "Sorry about that. We're in the middle of a major acquisition and things are a bit hectic." "Dad runs Keller Technologies," Ben announced proudly. "They make all kinds of cool stuff." Natalie blinked, suddenly placing why the name had sounded vaguely familiar. Keller Technologies was one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country, frequently mentioned in business news. She'd had no idea Ben's father was that Adam Keller. "Just software solutions," Adam said modestly. "Nothing as exciting as coaching football. Don't sell yourself short," Natalie replied, finding her voice. "I've read about your company's innovations in educational technology. Very impressive." Adam looked pleasantly surprised. "You follow tech. I'm a 5th-grade science teacher by day." "I try to keep up with educational tools." She tapped her clipboard. "Coaching is just my after-school passion." "Dad, can Coach Natalie come to dinner with us?" Ben interrupted, bouncing on his toes. "You said we could get pizza after practice." Adam's eyes widened slightly at his son's directness, and Natalie felt a flush rise to her cheeks. "Ben, I'm sure Coach Nelson has plans. Actually, I don't," Natalie surprised herself by saying, "but I wouldn't want to intrude on father-son time." "It's no intrusion," Adam said quickly. "We'd be honored, wouldn't we, Ben?" "Yes," Ben pumped his fist triumphantly. "Can we go to Mario's? They have the best breadsticks." And that was how Natalie found herself sitting across from Adam Keller in a cozy booth at Mario's Pizza 40 minutes later, still in her coaching clothes, track pants, and a Panthers windbreaker, while he had loosened his tie but otherwise remained the picture of corporate success. Ben kept the conversation flowing, bouncing between football stories and school anecdotes. Natalie noticed how Adam gave his son his complete attention, asking thoughtful follow-up questions and laughing genuinely at Ben's jokes. It was refreshing to see, especially knowing how demanding his job must be. During a moment when Ben excused himself to play the vintage arcade game in the corner, Adam leaned forward. "I want to thank you," he said sincerely. "Moving here has been an adjustment for Ben since the divorce. Your football team has given him something to be excited about. He's a great kid," Natalie replied. "Very coachable, and he's making friends quickly." "That's a relief to hear. His mother moved to Paris for work 3 months ago, and we decided Ben would be better off staying with me." "More stability?" Adam took a sip of his water. "I grew up here actually. Moving back seemed right, even if it means a longer commute to our headquarters. Single parenting while running a major company can't be easy," Natalie observed. Adam's smile turned rueful. "I'm learning as I go." "Thank goodness for Mrs. Winters, our housekeeper. She's been a lifesaver on late nights." The conversation flowed easily after that. Natalie learned that Adam had built his company from scratch after college, turning an innovative software idea into a multi-million-dollar enterprise that now employed over 300 people. In turn, she told him about her journey to teaching and coaching. "I played soccer through college," she explained, "but a knee injury ended those dreams. Teaching was my backup plan, and it turned out to be my calling. The coaching satisfies that competitive part of me." "Those kids are lucky to have you," Adam said, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her breath catch slightly. The evening ended all too soon, with Ben yawning despite his protests that he wasn't tired. "We should let Coach get home," Adam said, settling the bill despite Natalie's insistence on paying her share. "Will you be at practice Thursday?" Ben asked hopefully as they walked to the parking lot. "Of course I will," Natalie laughed. "I'm the coach, remember?" "I meant my dad," Ben clarified, rolling his eyes. "He should come watch more." Adam and Natalie exchanged amused glances over Ben's head. "I'll do my best," Adam promised, "and I'm definitely coming Saturday." As they reached her car, Adam handed Natalie his business card. "My personal cell is on there in case you need to reach me about team stuff." "Thanks," she replied, tucking it into her pocket. "It was really nice meeting you, Adam." "The pleasure was mine, Coach Nelson." As Natalie drove home, she couldn't help smiling to herself. It had been a long time since she'd enjoyed male company, that much not since her breakup with her college boyfriend 2 years ago. But she quickly tamped down any romantic thoughts. Adam Keller was the parent of one of her players, not to mention a high-powered CEO probably used to dating sophisticated women who wore designer clothes, not athletic wear with grass stains. Still, she found herself hoping he would indeed make it to Thursday's practice. Thursday came with gray skies threatening rain, but the weather held off long enough for practice to finish. Adam didn't show up, and Natalie told herself she wasn't disappointed. A CEO would have countless demands on his time. Saturday's game, however, was another story. She spotted him immediately in the stands, wearing casual clothes for the first time, jeans and a navy sweater that made his eyes look even bluer. He cheered enthusiastically for the team, not just for Ben, and Natalie caught herself glancing his way more often than she should have. The Panthers won 14-7, with Ben making a crucial defensive play in the final quarter that had Adam on his feet, whooping with pride. After the post-game team talk, Natalie was surrounded by parents offering congratulations when Adam approached, Ben bouncing alongside him. "Impressive coaching, Natalie," he said. "Your defensive strategy in the second half was brilliant." "Dad knows football," Ben explained. "He played in college." "Is that so?" Natalie raised an eyebrow. "What position?" "Quarterback," Adam admitted. "Nothing major Division Roman II school, but it was fun while it lasted." "We're celebrating with ice cream," Ben announced. "Want to come?" This time Natalie didn't hesitate. "I'd love to. Let me just pack up the equipment." "We'll help," Adam offered, and before she knew it, they had loaded everything into her car in record time. Over ice cream cones at the local parlor, Adam revealed more of himself. He'd grown up in a middle-class family, earned an athletic scholarship, and started coding his first software prototype in his dorm room. Success hadn't come overnight. There had been years of struggle, investors who passed, and many sleepless nights. "Most people see where I am now," he said, "not the 10 years of grinding it took to get here." Natalie appreciated his lack of pretension. He spoke about his company with passion but without arrogance. "What about you?" he asked. "Always wanted to be a teacher, actually, no. I wanted to be an astronaut until high school physics convinced me otherwise." She laughed. "Then I thought maybe professional soccer until my knee decided that wasn't happening either. Teaching found me during a volunteer program my sophomore year of college." Ben had wandered off to the arcade games again, leaving them momentarily alone. "Listen," Adam said, his tone shifting slightly. "I was wondering if you might want to have dinner sometime, just the two of us." Natalie hesitated, caught off guard. "Adam, I'm Ben's coach. I know." "Is there a rule against it? The school district policy?" "Not explicitly, no. It's just complicated." Adam nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. The last thing I want to do is make things awkward for you or Ben. Just thought I'd ask." She appreciated his understanding, but as they parted ways in the parking lot, Natalie found herself regretting her caution. There was something about Adam that intrigued her, his dedication to both his work and his son, the way he listened when she spoke, the humor that emerged once he relaxed. The following week brought torrential rain, canceling Tuesday's practice. Natalie used the time to grade papers in her classroom, losing track of time until a knock at her door startled her. Looking up, she was surprised to see Adam standing there, 2 coffee cups in hand. "Ben forgot his science project," he explained, nodding toward a poster board leaning against the wall. "The front office said you might still be here, thought you could use some caffeine." "My hero," Natalie said, accepting the cup gratefully. "How did you know I take it with just cream?" "Ben is very observant. Apparently you mentioned it when discussing proper hydration versus caffeine with the team." Natalie laughed. "Teaching moment. Caffeine is a diuretic, but I'm definitely a hypocrite about it." Adam leaned against a desk. "So, about Saturday." "I've been thinking about that," Natalie admitted. "And I'm overthinking it. There's no policy against it, and Ben seems comfortable with us spending time together." "More than comfortable. He's been not so subtly suggesting I ask you out again." "Apparently you're way cooler than the last woman I dated." Natalie raised an eyebrow. High praise from an 11-year-old. "So dinner, Friday night. I know a great Italian place downtown. I'd like that." Adam's smile was worth any potential complications. Friday evening found Natalie trying on her 4th outfit, eventually settling on a simple green dress that her best friend had assured her brought out her eyes. She was nervous in a way she hadn't been in years. Dating had taken a backseat to her career for so long that she felt rusty at the whole process. Adam picked her up promptly at 7, looking devastatingly handsome in a tailored suit minus the tie. The Italian restaurant was elegant without being stuffy, tucked away on a side street downtown. "How did you find this place?" Natalie asked as they were seated at a corner table with a flickering candle between them. "It was my grandfather's favorite. He used to bring me here when I was a kid visiting for summers." Adam's eyes softened at the memory. "The owner is the grandson of the original owner. Some things stay in the family." The waiter recognized Adam immediately, greeting him warmly and bringing a bottle of wine from the special reserve without being asked. "Come here often," Natalie teased after the waiter left. "Business dinners sometimes, but this is the first time I've brought someone special here in years." The simple statement sent warmth flooding through her. Over pasta and wine, they talked about everything and nothing: childhood memories, favorite books, travel dreams. Adam told her about the early days of his company, working from a garage apartment with 2 college friends. "We lived on ramen and coffee for 3 years before our first major contract," he recalled. "Now one of those friends is my CTO and the other runs our international division from London." "You stayed loyal to the people who were there at the beginning," Natalie observed. "That says a lot. Loyalty matters to me," Adam said simply, "in business and in life." As he drove her home, a comfortable silence fell between them. At her door, Adam hesitated. I had a wonderful time, he said softly. Me too. When he leaned down to kiss her, it felt both surprising and inevitable. His lips were gentle against hers, the kiss brief but full of promise. I'd like to see you again, he murmured. I'd like that too, Natalie replied, suddenly shy. Though we'll see each other at Tuesday's practice anyway. That's different. Coach Nelson is intimidating. His eyes twinkled. Natalie is captivating. She laughed and impulsively kissed him again before slipping inside her apartment, heart racing like a teenager's. Over the next few weeks, they settled into a rhythm. Adam attended practices when he could and never missed a game. They had dinner together twice a week, sometimes with Ben, sometimes alone. Natalie found herself looking forward to his texts throughout the day and the way his eyes sought her out across the football field. Their third date ended at his house after Ben had gone to sleep, the housekeeper discreetly retiring to her apartment over the garage. Natalie was nervous entering his home for the first time, a beautiful colonial in the historic district that had been thoughtfully renovated to balance modern comfort with classic charm. This is not what I expected, she admitted, taking in the comfortable living room with books scattered about and Ben's video game controllers on the coffee table. What did you expect? Adam asked, handing her a glass of wine. I don't know, something more sterile. Corporate art and uncomfortable furniture designed to impress rather than relax. Adam laughed. I spend enough time in offices. Home needs to feel like home. They talked late into the night, eventually curling up on his sofa watching an old movie. When she dozed off against his shoulder, he woke her with a gentle kiss. I should get you home, he whispered. I'm comfortable, she protested sleepily. I am too, that's the problem. His voice held a hint of desire that made her fully awake. But Ben has a habit of waking up early on Saturdays, and I'd rather not explain why his coach is here in last night's clothes. Natalie sat up, suddenly alert. Good point, not the way I want to handle that conversation. As their relationship deepened, Natalie found herself falling for not just Adam, but the life they were creating together. Ben was thriving both on the team and in her science class, clearly delighted by the relationship developing between his father and coach. The football season progressed, with the Panthers on track for the playoffs. Adam's business was thriving too, though he increasingly made efforts to delegate so he could attend more of Ben's activities. One evening after a particularly stressful day at school, Natalie arrived at Adam's house to find him cooking dinner while Ben set the table. Rough day? Adam asked, noticing her expression as she dropped onto a kitchen stool. Budget cuts, she sighed. They're talking about eliminating the after-school sports program next year, no funding for coaches or equipment. That's awful, Adam frowned, stirring the pasta sauce. What about all those kids who depend on those programs? Exactly my point in the faculty meeting. But the district is facing serious shortfalls. Ben looked alarmed. Does that mean no more Panthers? I don't know, buddy, Natalie admitted. I'm going to fight for it, but it doesn't look good. Over dinner, the conversation moved to happier topics, but Adam seemed thoughtful. Later, after Ben had gone upstairs to finish homework, he brought it up again. What would it take to keep the program running? Natalie shrugged. About $30,000 a year for all the after-school sports programs. Equipment, modest stipends for coaches, transportation to games. My foundation could cover that, Adam said casually. Natalie stared at him. Your what? The Keller Foundation. We fund educational initiatives, particularly STEM programs in underserved communities, but we've been looking to expand into more well-rounded educational support. He reached for his tablet. I'll email my director tonight. Adam, wait. Natalie put her hand on his arm. I can't ask you to do that. You didn't ask, I offered. This is what the foundation does. But we're dating. It would look like what? Like a local business supporting community education. The donation wouldn't come from me personally, but from the foundation, completely above board. Natalie hesitated. It feels like a conflict of interest. Adam set down the tablet. Would you feel better if we brought the foundation director to meet with your principal? She can explain our interest in supporting after-school programs throughout the district, not just at your school. Put that way, it made sense. Still, Natalie couldn't help feeling uncomfortable with the ease with which Adam could solve problems with money. It highlighted the vast differences in their worlds. Later that week, Adam sensed her withdrawal and confronted it head-on during a walk in the park. "You've been distant since we talked about the foundation," he said directly. "Tell me what's bothering you." Natalie stopped walking. "I'm not used to dating someone who can solve problems by writing a check." "Is that how you see it? Isn't it true?" "School budget problems solved with a donation. Need a last-minute babysitter, Mrs. Winters is there. Car trouble, your mechanic handles it immediately." Adam's expression grew serious. "My resources are a tool, Natalie, not my identity. Yes, I can solve certain problems more easily because of my financial situation, but money doesn't solve everything." "I know that," she sighed. "It's just, sometimes I feel out of my depth in your world." "What world?" "I'm just a guy raising his son, running a business, and falling in love with an amazing woman who challenges me to be better." The words hung between them. It was the first time either had mentioned love, falling in love. Natalie repeated softly. Adam reached for her hand. "I thought it was obvious. I'm completely in love with you, Natalie, have been for weeks." "I love you too," she admitted, the truth of it washing through her, "and that scares me a little." "Why?" "Because I've built this independent life. I'm proud of what I've accomplished on my own." "And then you sweep in with all your Adam-ness," he laughed. "My Adam-ness. You know what I mean, your confidence, your resources, your ability to make things happen. It's a lot to stand next to." Adam's expression softened. "You don't stand next to me, Natalie, you stand with me." "There's a difference." He squeezed her hand. "Your independence is one of the things I love most about you. I don't want to change that, I just want to be part of your life." The sincerity in his eyes melted her resistance. "I want that too." As November turned to December, the Panthers made it to the championship game. The stands were packed with parents and supporters, including several executives from Keller Technologies who had become invested in the team's success through Adam's enthusiastic updates. The game was tight, tied 7-7 going into the final quarter. Natalie paced the sidelines, calling plays and encouraging her team. Adam watched from the stands, occasionally catching her eye with a supportive smile. With 2 minutes left, Ben intercepted a pass and ran it back for a touchdown that put the Panthers ahead. The crowd erupted, Adam louder than anyone. As the final whistle blew, securing their championship win, the team rushed the field in celebration. Amid the chaos, Adam made his way to Natalie, lifting her off her feet in an exuberant hug that had several parents raising eyebrows and smiling. "You did it," he exclaimed, setting her down but keeping his arms around her waist. "The kids did it," she corrected, beaming with pride. "Did you see Ben's interception? That was textbook perfect." "I saw. Best cornerback on the field, coached by the best coach in the league." The celebration continued at a local restaurant where Adam had reserved a private room for the team and families. As the evening wound down, he pulled Natalie aside. "I have something to ask you," he said, suddenly looking uncharacteristically nervous. "Okay," she replied, curious about his serious tone. "Ben and I were talking last weekend about Christmas plans. And well, he had an idea that I happen to think is brilliant. Which is, he wants you to move in with us." Adam watched her expression carefully. "So do I. We have plenty of space, and you're already spending most nights at our place anyway. It seems like the logical next step." Natalie blinked, surprised by the suggestion. "That's a big step, Adam. I know, too big," she considered it. She loved her little apartment, the first place she'd bought on her own. But she also loved waking up with Adam, having breakfast with Ben before school, the comfortable routine they'd established. "What about Ben? Are you sure he's ready for this?" Adam smiled. "It was his idea, remember, but yes, we've talked about it several times. He adores you, Natalie. Not just as his coach or teacher, but as the person making his dad happy." "And what about the long term?" she asked softly. "Where do you see this going?" Adam took her hands in his. "I see forever, if you want to know the truth. I see us raising Ben together, maybe adding to our family someday if you want that. I see building a life with you." The sincerity in his voice made her heart swell. "I want that too. So, is that a yes to moving in?" Natalie smiled. It's a yes. But I'm keeping my apartment until my lease ends in March, just to be practical. Always the pragmatist, Adam teased, pulling her close. One of the many reasons I love you. By Valentine's Day, Natalie had fully integrated into the Keller household. Her apartment stood mostly empty, visited only occasionally to water plants and collect mail. The transition had been smoother than she expected, with Ben enthusiastically helping her organize her belongings in what had once been a rarely used guest room, but was now her home office. Adam surprised her that evening with dinner at the same Italian restaurant where they'd had their first date. As dessert arrived tiramisu with a suspicious lump in the center, Natalie felt her heart racing. "What's this?" she asked, poking the dessert gently with her fork to reveal a small velvet box. "Open it," Adam encouraged, his eyes bright with anticipation. Inside was a stunning emerald ring surrounded by small diamonds. "Green like your eyes," Adam explained, moving from his chair to kneel beside her. "Natalie Nelson, you've changed our lives, Ben's and mine, in ways I never imagined possible. You're the missing piece we didn't know we needed. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred her vision as she nodded. "Yes, yes, I will." The restaurant erupted in applause as Adam slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her deeply. "Ben helped pick it out," he whispered against her lips. "He's waiting up for us, dying to know your answer. You were that confident," Adam grinned. "Hopeful, not confident. But Ben said you'd say yes because, and I quote, she looks at you the way people look at pizza when they're really hungry." Natalie burst out laughing, out of the mouths of babes. When they arrived home, Ben was indeed waiting, bouncing anxiously on the sofa. His face lit up when he saw the ring on Natalie's finger. "You said yes," he exclaimed, rushing to hug her. "Does this mean I can call you Mom now?" Natalie's heart melted as she hugged him back. "If you want to, Ben, I'd be honored. Cool, I've been practicing." He pulled back, suddenly serious. "Dad says the wedding probably won't be until summer. That's forever." "We have plans to make," Adam explained, ruffling his son's hair. "And Coach Natalie has a spring sports season to navigate." "Track and field," Ben nodded knowingly, "but I'm playing baseball this spring. Different coach." "Thank goodness," Natalie laughed. "I need a break from coaching Keller men. You're both too competitive." Says the woman who made us run drills in the backyard last weekend because she thought Ben's stance was sloppy, Adam teased. "That's different. That was educational." They were married the following August in a garden ceremony at a historic estate outside town. Ben served as best man, taking his duties very seriously, including a heartfelt toast that left few dry eyes at the reception. "When my dad met Coach Natalie, he smiled more," the 11-year-old said confidently into the microphone. "And now she makes both of us smile every day. Plus, she makes sure we eat vegetables and don't just order pizza when Dad's tired from work. She's the best stepmom ever, even though she's only officially been my stepmom for like 2 hours." As they danced under twinkling lights later that evening, Adam held Natalie close. "Happy, Mrs. Keller, incredibly," she replied, her head resting against his chest. "Though I'm still Coach Nelson on the field next season. Of course, no special treatment for the Keller men. Speaking of which," Natalie pulled back slightly to look into his eyes, "I've been thinking about what Ben said about adding to our family someday." Adam's expression turned hopeful. "Oh, I'm not saying immediately, but maybe we could start trying after football season." The joy that spread across his face was answer enough. Adam spun her around the dance floor, drawing curious glances from their guests. "I take it that's a yes," Natalie laughed. "That's a very enthusiastic yes," Adam confirmed, pulling her close again. "I love you, Coach Nelson." "I love you too, CEO Keller." 1 year later to the day, they welcomed their daughter, Lily Elizabeth Keller, with 12-year-old Ben proudly declaring himself the world's best big brother. As Adam placed the tiny bundle in Natalie's arms in the hospital room, she marveled at how her life had changed. "What are you thinking?" Adam asked softly, sitting beside them on the bed. "I'm thinking about that first day on the football field," Natalie replied, stroking Lily's delicate cheek. "When this very serious-looking CEO showed up in his fancy suit, checking his watch. Who could have imagined we'd end up here? I knew that day," Adam said with quiet certainty. The moment you started talking about defensive strategy with such passion, I was a goner. Really. That's what did it for you, football talk. That and how you looked at Ben like he mattered, like what he had to say was important. Adam kissed her forehead. You saw him first, not me. That's when I started falling. Natalie smiled, remembering her initial wariness about dating a parent from her team. Worth breaking my own rules for. Definitely worth it, Adam agreed, carefully gathering his wife and newborn daughter into his arms, their family complete.